we're called Class Wallet, and we
Yeah.
are about, improving student outcomes and teacher success. At the core, we have a fintech platform, and we sell exclusively into education.
On today's show, the guys talk with Neil Steinhardt of ClassWallet about their product and its offerings for school financial services. We'll have music from Nick Flora, an EdTech MicroLesson, and more. That's all up next on EduTechGuys. EduTechGuys Radio, radio.edutechguys.com.
The opinions expressed on the site and its programs are those of participants and not intended to and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of any specific educational entity, sponsor, company, state, or government agency.
Hello and welcome to EduTechGuys Radio. Good afternoon to you. How you doing? I am David Henderson.
Hey, and I'm Jeff Madlock.
Awesome. Welcome to the show. We've got a great show lined up for folks today.
Welcome to the show. Right back at you.
No, you welcome to the show.
Hold on while we have a small fisticuff fight here. Hey, it's going to be a great show today. Got Neil Steinhardt from ClassWallet on the show, and he's going to talk to us about his stuff.
Yeah.
And all kinds of good stuff. Something new today we're going to throw out. This is kind of a special show. Dave and I are working on doing more, episodes of the podcast. We have so many people wanting on the show that we're going to have to start doing more than just Wednesdays, I guess.
Yeah, well, and this will be really cool. I mean, we're still going to do the live Wednesday show, but we're also going to have other podcasts that we put out that are kind of outside of that schedule, and those will still be aired live through radio.edutechguys.com, but they won't be the normal Wednesday offering. Excuse me, offering. Sorry. But so that's something new we're going to try. And we're also trying something new by adding in what we're going to call the EdTech MicroLessons.
Yeah, and David has to come up with a jingle for it now.
I didn't think about that till
that's a mouthful. EdTech MicroLesson of the week.
Yeah, that's the same. It's not going to work with the same. It'll have its own jingle. At some point.
Get to that point.
I'm sure.
Hey, catch us on the web at twitter.com/edutechguys. You can also find us on the web, on the line, at www.edutechguys.com. Heck, just go to Google, type in EduTechGuys, and I promise we'll come up. We're on the Facebook. We're at the Walmarts. We're everywhere.
We're at the Walmarts.
We're hawking our podcast right outside the door as you come in.
That's right.
We'll have a small table set up.
The one place we're not is on the post office wanted posters.
Maybe not you. But,
sorry. I wasn't supposed to say that.
I had an incident with a garbage truck when I was 14. That's long.
I am not surprising in the least.
I still haven't found that garbage truck.
Awesome. Well, garbage trucks aside.
Hey, listen, we're going to drop out to a quick commercial, and when we come back, we're going to have a great discussion with our guest for today. We'll be right back. EduTech Guys.
Thanks for listening to EduTech Guys. Reach out to us on Twitter at EduTech Guys. Head over to Facebook, facebook.com/EduTechGuys. Or cruise on over to the website, www.edutechguys.com.
All right, up next on the show, we got a very special guest with us, and we'll let him introduce himself and who he's with and what he does. Welcome, ClassWallet.
Oh, hi, guys. Well, I'm Neil Steinhardt. I'm the president of ClassWallet, and we are a financial service company that sells into EdTech, and we help digitize and improve back office processes in education.
Awesome.
That's awesome. So there's the first thing we want to talk about, and you and I have been talking across Twitter through the messenger, and to find out what's going on. But so tell us, you notice this, and we notice this. Everyone in education notices this, that many K-12 finance departments, they have a ton of room for technological improvement. So where do you guys come in to help with that? And you mentioned this, and this is true. That's not the sexy side of it, but
yes, we're not playing in the sexy side of EdTech,
Yeah.
But no, because we've raised capital from Reach Capital, and we are graduates of the Techstars Education Accelerator. So we're very much in the EdTech space, but my background is fintech, and our technology platform is fintech for education. So we see a market in digitizing and making paperless all these transactions that happen that create a lot of overhead for, typically what are understaffed and underserved departments. And if you want to empower teachers to make purchases, well, then you have to capture receipts. And so we've built a platform that makes that a totally digital process and takes a process that can take weeks, to get an approval, and smashes it down into real time. So we can be very empowering. School finance offices, across the country, there's 14,000 school districts. They're very different, but one commonality is this reliance on old technology, purchase orders, reimbursement, a lot of paper receipts, a lot of paperwork, a lot of sign-offs. And that's an area where we can, bring a lot of improvement and, utilize technology so that teachers can go out and acquire all that cool EdTech technology. I mean, it's hard to even keep up. Like, it used to be, in the 50s, you had a book publisher. That was one PO, right? Now we have our curriculum, maybe there was an office supply, and it was a very different world. Now, you can't even keep track how many vendors are out there selling cool, great stuff, stuff that's in demand. They don't accept purchase orders. You might now have 1,000 vendors. And the teachers are going to find a new one every day.
Right.
So, okay. So, as I'm kind of listening to what you're saying and trying to map this out in my head, the solution that you guys bring, ClassWallet, is that really, is it the whole, like, I'm gonna go very old school, is it soup to nuts? I mean, are we talking, if a teacher, let's say a teacher wants to go buy something and the procedure at the district is they have to get approval for that before they get the PO for that, and all of that has to be signed off on. Is that what you guys covered?
Absolutely. So that is the process, right? And, when you talk about public schools, you need accountability. That's why there's auditors, right? You're all spending tax dollars. Mm-hmm. The ClassWallet platform has a couple components, but the core is a digital wallet. So our customer is a district. We can create a digital wallet for a teacher, and the district can allocate funds to it. They don't literally move money, right? They're really allocating a budget. Sure. Once that money is in the ClassWallet account for the teacher, we have a digital marketplace. So we work with Amazon, Best Buy, Scholastic, School Specialty, right? They're empowered to go out and build a shopping cart, right, on Amazon, check out, but they're now back in the ClassWallet platform, and we have all the SKU level data. So if a district or a principal needs to approve that transaction, we give them the right to pre-approve it. If they don't need to pre-approve it, then we fulfill that order directly to the school. And we've taken that process that you explained and just digitized it and took all the time out of it. A lot of times we hear teachers, right? I want to get a resource, right? I can't get it approved in time, so I'm going to go spend out of pocket and hopefully I'll get a reimbursement, wow. Right? Because, next week I'm on to something else by the time I get my approval. And your average teacher, there's all kinds of studies. I don't know what number to pin, but, anywhere between $500 and $1,000 a year out of pocket. Sure. Which is a little criminal, but some of that is because they just have an urgency, right? And so you're going to have to go out of pocket. So our platform allows us to actually take a bunch of different processes. So we've got that online marketplace, which is our core product and very powerful. But we also allow for electronic receipt submission for reimbursement, right? So you can literally take a picture with your mobile phone of a receipt and have it submitted to your admin for approval, and cool. They can ACH the funds, right? Yeah. We have a prepaid card, right, if it's turned on, which is a premium product. But, if you want, the teachers can access the funds that are in the wallet, right, and make purchases. It pays for professional development, pays for, resources in the classroom. So same thing, swipe the card. There's no balance on that card. It actually goes out from the credit card processor to our processor to my platform, checks for an available balance. If it's there, we'll fund the card in real time and settle that transaction. And while a teacher is standing in the store, they can take a picture with the mobile device and attach it to that transaction so it gets submitted to the admin.
Yeah. You guys have taken the workflow process and made it better. That's what you've done.
That's very cool.
Yeah. I mean, these are common, things in the fintech world. They're just slow to creep into the back office of school districts. And so, I think, I don't want to say we're geniuses because we're not. We didn't invent anything, but we were able to take a bunch of things that didn't really exist and bring them all together in a nice user-friendly platform that ends up becoming very powerful for teachers.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and the cost savings here, just alone cutting out the paperwork, the actual physical paper, the cost of purchase orders, the cost of requisition, the time that it takes to move that back and forth between campuses. You guys have cut out a lot of money because time is money. And that's, for a school district, that's a big deal.
We actually have a case study or a white paper. The Arizona State University did a study about how much it costs to process a purchase order. And if you think about it, right, teacher has to go find a vendor, right? Get a quote, bring it to the school, right? They have to run it up the chain. How many people have to touch that before it gets signed off, right? Then it goes back to the teacher. They say, go out and buy it, right? Now the teacher bought it. Now an invoice comes in, right? A couple of people, I got to match that up to the purchase order. Was that what we really want? And then we have to pay it. So when you add up everybody's time, it might be 10 minutes here and 20 minutes there, but if you add it all up, it's anywhere between $97 and $200 per purchase order.
Wow.
And it makes a lot of sense. And if you want to buy 5,000 desks, of course you're going to issue a purchase order, right? And they're going to show up on your school and it's all good. But what if you want to buy a $45 item?
Right.
Why would you spend $97 to process that payment?
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Yep, exactly. So, this is a lot about also it changes the school climate. It changes everything happening in a school district because it empowers teachers. That's a really big deal. It's empowering teachers with making them feel like, hey, I have a lot more power in what I'm doing and what I'm purchasing for my classroom.
Oh yeah, and there's a national trend. I mean, it's called different things, but like student-based budgeting, which is really dollars following the classroom. We see it also with teachers and principals empowered to have their own P&L, right? Like where do you affect student outcomes? Like it's in the classroom with the person who's next to these students all day long, right?
Right.
So, in our platform, a district can allocate money to a principal can in turn allocate it to teachers, or the district can allocate it to teachers and track it. And it's very fungible, right? Because we can, move these allocations back and forth. So, unspent money can revert back to the admin automatically, like the platform's powerful. Right. But it's all about, we can't eliminate the transparency. That's the number one thing, right? We need accountability.
Right.
But there is a trend, and we do see it. We see it in our more progressive customers and districts. But, it is a national movement to have more, what they call student-based budgeting. And I think that's a wonderful trend, and teachers, like I said, they go out of pocket, so they're doing it anyway. Why shouldn't the tax dollars do it?
Sure. So I have a question from kind of the, you go into a school and you've got, I'm sure you've met with many kind of the old school mentality, and it maybe not even old school, maybe that's harsher than it needs to be, but the folks who, because they've been doing certain things a certain way and they think about finance a certain way, do you find yourselves having trouble when you're explaining how the system works and you're talking about this allocation? Do you have trouble with that with some of the administrators who in their brain are thinking, well, I can't budget money for them to go buy stuff. You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, that's what my wife's a teacher. And that's what I could see. I could see if, talking to her superintendent, who I know pretty well, but if I were to go to him and kind of try to do this, which I realize I would not be doing this. That's why you're doing this. But, but to try to explain this process, and he'd be like, I can't allocate money to these folks. So I'm just curious how you've run into that and how do you handle that?
Sure. So it's kind of two questions.
Sure.
So I'll take, one question. I mean, our biggest challenge is selling against paper, right? All these, manual processes and paperwork. And so my biggest challenge is to try to explain to people like that there's pain, right? Because everybody got through their audit last year, and the world is spinning and we're moving forward, right? But, if I ask them, they say, hey, do you allow teachers to make purchases? And they say, yes, sometimes. And we say, all right, well, how do you do that? And say, oh, we have a PO platform, it's great. I'm like, oh, really? How great is it? Like, let's walk through that process,
Sure.
Just like the one we described earlier, say, once we start talking about the process and they understand the pain that's inherent in the system, then I have a much easier time, selling ClassWallet.
Sure.
But there are some use cases where it's easier to sell. So, there are a number of states that do back to school grants. Our home state of Florida is one of them. Alabama is one, Utah is one, so there are a number of states that actually do allocate money with strings attached to teachers at the beginning of the school year. So for that one particular use case, we have a very powerful argument, because come March, they're reconciling receipts from hundreds, if not thousands of teachers, and the pain is really acute. Somebody who didn't really like us last year might like us a lot more in March of next year.
Yes.
But we also have a lot of activity around student activity funds and student clubs and groups, and they call them different things in different states. But student activity accounting is super challenging, where you have a lot of unappropriated dollars that come in, and now you got to track them going out. And like I said, if you read audits, I don't read audits for fun, but I do read a lot of school district audits. It's never a payroll issue, which is one of the bigger chunks of the budget. That all works pretty seamlessly. It's when you get down in the weeds, and you start talking about, it's the smallest part of the budget, but it's the biggest pain for the districts, and that's the sweet spot where we come in and said, hey, I've got a platform that can solve a lot of those problems for you.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Very cool.
That answered that's I was thinking the same question you were thinking, so that actually worked out really well. But it does show your commitment to education, because it's a whole different thing. You're fintech, so tell us the difference you've noticed coming into the education side of it, with the fintech mindset.
Well, I used to work, so I've been in licensed money transmission, walk-in bill payment, digital wallets for about 25 years. And my most recent company, we were the second largest digital wallet operator in the world, and our biggest focus was online gambling in Europe and Asia. And I will say they had much better industry parties than in education as far as industries go. But when I met my partner, Jamie, like I said, who was the founder of Adopt a Classroom, and he had built a platform that was, a crowdfunding platform for teachers. Wikipedia once said it was the first crowdfunding platform. And he raised about $30 million for teachers in about a third of the schools across the country. And it was the same kind of concept, right? It was a nonprofit, but it was a digital wallet, and you could give money to teachers, and then they could build shopping carts and check out, and then all the donors would have visibility to what they were seeing. And so, when I joined and we kind of, founded ClassWallet, I'm more from the B2B world than the B2C, and signing up individual teachers is a challenge. And getting them to do things is a challenge. And so we had some customers that were education foundations and just kind of like the B2B world more, right? And so they said, oh, we could make better reports and we can go after this. But education is a really interesting space because, I have two kids in public school, so I'm a consumer, as well. And I understand how challenging it is to be a teacher. And it's so fragmented, it creates an opportunity for scrappy startups like ourselves to go out there, because if it was big and homogenous, then PayPal would dominate the space or Amazon would dominate the space.
Right.
It's not a one size fits all solution, right? And the sales process is a challenge, as you can imagine. So I mean, it would be so much easier for us to sell small and medium sized enterprises who could sign a contract and not have to get board approval and just say, hey, yeah, I like it, let's go. As opposed to, some of our larger school districts that, might be on a 36-month sales cycle. But, there is something fulfilling about trying to make an impact in education. And, I do think, certainly some of the feedback we get from our teachers, who are our users, but not our customers. My customer is the district, the users, the teachers. But when they can get the resources that they need in a timely fashion with a lot less hassle, it's very rewarding to hear that, it's making an impact. And so, we'd like to think that it does. And so I don't think we get that in other industries.
Yeah.
Cool. And that's really interesting. Your usability, from what we've learned today, is really perfect. Teachers don't have a lot of time to learn something new. They hate learning new things. They like to teach things, and they don't like to learn new things. So, but the usability is a lot different than a lot of the other platforms that might be out there. And there's some other purchased order platforms out there, but not to the level of what you guys are doing, especially making it mobile and making it easy to use. That's pretty impressive. Very, very impressive.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Yeah, we have, it's funny, it's topical because we have a new UX designer on staff it'll be even more usable next year. I mean, we're in a crunch, for August right now, but, this year was a great year for us, and we had about 15,000 active users. Next year is going to be between 50 and 75,000. So we are we're in a lean startup model, right? We're kind of MVP. We want to be in the marketplace. We want real customers using our product, and we iterate and fix things quickly. So we got a long list of feedback. Very constructive, and so it's fun. To actually make a better product and know that, something that we actually do right now is going to decrease cost to customer service and increase teacher satisfaction. And, it's a very tangible kind of thing that we're working on right now.
Well, cool. Now,
cool.
I know we might have missed something, so I want to give you the opportunity to throw anything in where we might have missed, but you're exactly right. One of the first conversations we had is like, everyone forgets about the school administrative side. And I'm glad you guys didn't forget about the school administrative side, because this is a wonderful product. But did we miss anything you'd like to talk about?
No, not at all. I think we hit the high notes.
Cool.
We love school finance officers. They are an underserved constituency. I've had the distinct pleasure of going to a lot of state level ASBO conferences. And if you would have asked me 5 years ago, I wouldn't have known what an ASBO was. But now we go and we love it. I think it's really fantastic, and I think if you want to look to the bigger picture, really what we envision going forward is to create like a smarter marketplace where, we aggregate all these sellers, but, we'd love to have like a level of curation, almost like a Yelp, right? Hey, what are other third grade science teachers buying, that's making an impact in their classroom. And so I think, as we hit scale, and the big data becomes, really much more actionable. We definitely see an evolution towards where not only are we delivering a service to the finance, who are our customers, but a real value-added service to the teachers, so that they can spend their dollars wisely.
Sure. Yeah.
Awesome.
That's very cool. I like that idea a lot. That's very, very cool.
So check out ClassWallet, www.classwallet.com. They can find you on Twitter at ClassWallet. Facebook, you guys have a Facebook page?
Yeah, ClassWallet.
You're like us, EduTech Guys.
That's right. Google
go to Google ClassWallet, and I bet you money they come up number one.
That's right.
Somebody's pushing their SEO beautifully.
Absolutely. That would be legit.
Hey, Neil, we want to thank you for coming on the show, and we've got to get back together in the fall, especially when your UX person knocks it out of the park, and we can talk about some new stuff and some new features maybe you guys will have.
All right, fantastic. David, Jeff, it was a super pleasure talking to you. Really enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to coming back in the fall.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. Bye.
Hey, up next, we've got music from Nick Flora. You might recognize this tune from our intro that we use.
Legally,
yes, we do. This is Nick Flora and Presence of Greatness.
I got something to say, something that will blow your mind. The moment I hit the stage, I'm sure you felt it inside. You know my knack for hyperbole, this song might make you fall in love with me. It's happened before, so sit back and know that this bomb is set to explode. I'm like a shark attack with t-shirts in the back. Here we go, I'm flying so low, so you can all grab a hold of me, so you can take in this presence of greatness that I emit so naturally. You might be surprised to see just what I've got up my sleeve. Oh, just you wait and see. quick show of hands, how many lives have been changed? It's getting hard to keep track with all the records I've made. There's something to be said for humility, but that's got more to do with you than it does with me. So sit back and react, cause this you ain't never seen. And on the count of 3, you'll be bursting at the seams for more of me. Here we go, I'm flying so low, so you can all grab a hold of me, so you can take in this presence of greatness that I emit so naturally. You might be surprised to see just what I've got up my sleeve. Oh, just you wait and see. I've got nothing but the best intentions, and you've got cash to spend. And by my labels, calculations, well, that makes us the best of friends. So here we go, I'm flying so low, so you can all grab a hold of me, so you can take in the presence of greatness that I emit so naturally. You might be surprised to see just what I've got up my sleeve. Oh, just you wait and see.
Nick Flora and Presence of Greatness.
I like presents. You like Christmas presents, really great presents. Wrong presents?
Not those kind of presents, man. This is a different kind of presents.
Had way too many milkshakes for lunch. A lot of sugar, people.
Speaking of lots of sugar, wait, no.
Plus some sugar. I'm sorry. Speaking of sugar, we're going to be in a lot of fun places this summer.
Yeah.
So if you want to catch us, the first place you can catch us is at the Innovation Institute in Springdale, Arkansas, June the 7th through the 8th.
That's right. And the next week, June 12th through the 15th, we'll be in Hot Springs at the Hot Springs Technology Institute.
Hey, then in July, right after after the 4th, we will be in Wichita, Kansas at Podstock, July the 12th through the 14th.
Woo. Yes, absolutely. So you can catch us live. We'll be podcasting live conference coverage from each of those places.
And also sharing some little nuggets of good loving for the EdTech world.
Okay.
Hey, so we have a new
Speaking of
little nuggets.
the little nuggets
Of EdTech goodness.
Yes.
I wrote a quick article today. It'll be out on our blog actually right now as you're listening to this live the first time.
Yeah.
It's on our blog. Check it out, www.edutechguys.com. Drop over to the blog. You can find it. Probably be on the front page too, probably. Yeah, so.
Possibly.
You
We don't
think I
know.
would
We don't know how this stuff works.
I don't do the website. I don't know.
I don't know how this works.
Oh my gosh, where am I? What's my name? So anyway, talking about EdTech MicroLessons, and this came up at one of the Ed chats that I was on at some point on a Twitter chat.
Cool.
And the teacher said, "That's a great idea." So I knocked out 5 ideas, and I thought you might enjoy them. And so what I also did was make sure that I gave you some 5 ideas, and then you can actually build off of that. So the one that I thought I would share with you today is on this article, and it's down at the bottom, and it's about gamification, which we talked about the different gamification versus game-based learning last week on the show. And so I thought, hey, gamification is kind of it can be a micro lesson. You can use it, throughout the class. and it's a good tried and true friend, because it's been around since, poster boards and sticky stars. Well, okay, it's been around. But there's a lot of websites and apps out there that you can use, like Class Dojo, that can help bring that fun of achieving a goal and attaining badges for a job well done. Kids really like that. It really increases student engagement, and it helps that kid get that win. Every kid likes a win. They like to have that win, that certificate, that whole cool kind of thing.
Yeah.
And also, over time, the feedback the students can receive with that, it can help foster a growth mindset. Help them understand that it's okay to be third place or fourth place, because next time you might be first place.
Right.
So that's there it is. That's the EdTech micro lesson of the week, and we'll come up with a jingle. David's got his banjo out and his juice harp, and he's working. He's working on it right now as we speak. So that'll work.
I don't think you can call it that anymore. Anyway, so that was awesome. Very, very cool.
Good show. Hey, remember, if you want to catch us, just head out to twitter.com/EduTechGuys, @EduTechGuys. Head to the website, drop to the bottom of the page, fill out the form, and you can get in touch with us there.
Yeah, absolutely. We definitely want to hear what your EdTech stories are and share those with us, and we can, in turn, share those with everybody.
Hey, been a great show. I'm Jeff Madlock.
I'm David Henderson.
We'll catch you next time.
You've been listening to EduTech Guys Radio, radio.edutechguys.com.
The opinions expressed on this site and its programs are those of participants and not intended to and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of any specific educational entity, sponsor, company, state, or government agency.